Well, hi there. I'm Michael Hausam. Welcome to the workshop. I appreciate you guys being here. I notice not everyone who signed up is actually here in the room today, but you did, and that tells me a lot. Also, about half of the folks that registered took my real estate readiness assessment. So I definitely know that there are areas where some improvement is needed, and that's definitely part of what's going to be happening here today. So you're here because you're thinking about buying a house or selling a house, maybe both of those things. And on the buyer side, your goal is pretty simple if you're like most, which is to get the right house at the lowest price possible. And then on the seller side, of course, it's flipped, which is to get the maximum price possible. Now, today I'm going to give you a framework and some very practical steps for how to do both of these things. Now, there are two essentials for achieving each of these goals. The first aspect is to avoid costly mistakes. Costly mistakes is how you lose money, and these are doing things that you shouldn't have done. And that looks like this. And by the way, I'm going to be sending you all of these notes that I'm taking. You're going to get a copy of this. So avoiding costly mistakes, that's that side. And then the second aspect is to pursue opportunities. To successfully capitalize on opportunities is how you actually make money. And these are doing the things that you should do. And that's just the flipped opposite. So these are the two key things: to avoid costly mistakes and to do the things that you should do, right? Now, you're likely here because you're not actually certain about how to go about doing either of these things, what not to do and what to do. Or you're maybe wondering if what you already know is good enough. Or maybe you're just thinking if you find the right real estate agent, they'll help you. So if any of this describes you, then you're kind of in the uncomfortable position right now of hoping and guessing. And that actually is a little bit uncomfortable, but you're in the right place because today I'm going to be talking to you about how to move from this uncomfortable position of hoping and wishing to get to certainty, right? And that's what we're going to be doing today, is going from a place of fear at whatever level, fear and uncertainty to certainty about dollars. Now, a key point with what I'm going to be talking about here today, it does not matter if you have a real estate agent or not, or if you plan to never use one at all. So this is key. This is whether you have a realtor or not. Everything I'm going to be talking about. The whole point of this workshop is to equip you. That's the central topic, so that you know what should and should not be happening with certainty. Okay? And this is the point, to equip you. And also, you're not going to find or hear this information anywhere else. The money that's going to be involved in you buying or selling a house right now is likely to be the very largest financial transaction of your life. So let's talk about these numbers first, because it might be a little bit terrifying to you. If I were in your shoes and I didn't know what I know today, it would certainly be terrifying to me. The average house across the country right now sells for about $435,000. And on any home, there can be a price value range of around a 10% swing. If you look up any home value on Zillow, buried way at the bottom of the Zillow estimate, you're going to see this range, right? So this is, I just took a screenshot off of Zillow, right? And as you can see here, there's a house that's listed at $435,000. Zillow estimated the value at $439,000. But notice this here. For Zillow and their algorithm and all that, they would not be surprised at a $44,000 swing in the sales price of this house, which is a lot. And most people don't see this range buried down at the bottom of that screen. And regardless of what you think of Zillow and how they come up with their numbers and all of that, that's kind of the environment that they suggest, and that's exactly what I've seen in the marketplace as well. So for the sake of today, let's call it 40 grand on the table if you're in that average home price range, okay? So that 40 grand swing, that could be yours, or it could end up in the wallet of the person that's across the table from you, either the buyer or the seller. Now, of course, if your market is more expensive than that average, then it's even more money that we're talking about. If your market's like mine here in Orange County, which is almost triple the national average, then we're talking a swing of over 100 grand. So do the math in your head right now for your target price range, whether you're buying or selling. Think about the target you have, 10% of that. That's the number on the table. That should get your attention. And that's whether you're buying or selling. That money is either yours or it's gone forever. So if home prices themselves don't terrify you, then that potential swing in outcome that's massive definitely should. What would you do with 40 grand if you didn't have to pay more to a seller, or if a buyer offered you that much more for your house? Retirement accounts, savings accounts, vacation, health expenses, upgrades to the house, whatever it would be for you. I think we can agree that it would be better that you keep that money than to lose it. Do me a favor, put the word table in the chat here if you understand the amount of money that is on the table in front of you in your real estate journey. Put the word table. Okay, great. Okay, now that we understand how much money's on the line, let's take a step back from this and look at the actual journey that you're about to go on. And your journey looks like this, right? This is you here, and this is where you want to be. Your ultimate goal, okay? And so you're starting at where you are right now, obviously, here. And the goal in whatever your time frame is where you want to end up. So between where you are right now and your goal, there are actually potential mistakes all along this particular timeline, okay? I call them landmines. They're landmines in your journey, and there are actually dozens of them. They're big landmines, there are small ones, lots of them, and they're all costly. And we're gonna show it like this. And for the average buyer and seller, each one of those X's is probably a dozen different landmines. But what's interesting and worse, on a real estate journey, almost all of these landmines are silent. So not only do you not see the landmines, you don't know when you step on them either. So you're walking along on your journey, just like that, and you don't even know if you're stepping on these landmines, losing money. This should actually be the most terrifying part of the entire thing. The biggest risk to you is not even knowing that you stepped on one, that you've lost tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it was completely off your radar. These are costly mistakes made without your realizing it, and then boom, that money is gone. And that, what ends up happening is if you're a buyer, the house just got more expensive, or you lose the house altogether, or if you're a seller, you're losing money on the sale price of the house, getting less for the house. Excuse me. And here's something you probably don't want to hear, but I need you to listen to me. Unless you started your real estate journey about 5 seconds before signing on here today, you've almost certainly stepped on a landmine already, maybe multiple landmines. Right here, right now, there are likely exploded landmines in your rearview mirror, and you didn't even know about it. And this bleeding here has already started. So our job number one is that we need to identify the landmines and avoid them. We absolutely have to do that. And that looks, avoiding the landmines is job number one. But it's not just avoiding the landmines that we want to do. That's only part of it. That's only half of the goal. The other half is actually the correct path around them, which is the right shortcuts or the correct turns to recognize and then take advantages of opportunities when they pop up. Obviously, you want to avoid losing money, but you also want to act when you can make money. I think somebody's got their... I'm going to turn off and mute this. There we go. All right. So we want to avoid the landmines, but we also want to take the correct path through them. And I call this buying or selling a house like a pro. And this is the correct journey, knowing how to get through them to get to your goal. If you want to know the correct path and avoid the landmines, know how to take advantage of the opportunities when they pop up, put the word path in the chat. That would be interesting for you to know as well. Path. Okay, good. There's 2 pieces to it. Now, good. Before we get any further, by now, you definitely should be asking yourself, why the hell should I listen to this guy? Who the hell are you? Great questions. I would certainly be asking them for sure. So, hi there. My name is Michael Hausam. I'm a real estate broker in Southern California, focused mostly on Orange County. And I first got into the business right out of school 35 years ago. And over the last almost decade, I have been a top 2 or 3% agent nationally. So everything I'm going to be talking to you about is based on a lot of successful experience. None of it is theory or concept. It's current and happening right now. Before I got onto this workshop, I was at a listing this morning of mine that we just opened escrow on and we're doing a home inspection. That was this afternoon, talking to you about how to do this thing. And frankly, excuse me, it's also the result of difficulties and challenges as well. In some cases, learning some very hard and frustrating lessons. And over this time, I have watched dozens and dozens of home buyers and sellers make stupid mistakes and shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over. And frankly, I'm tired of good people losing money. So what I'm going to be showing you here today, you're not finding anywhere else. These are powerful concepts to make sure that you get that 40 grand or the 100 grand or whatever the number is for your price range. And it's the exact same ideas that I've spent over 100 grand on with mentors and coaches over the last decades to learn. It's stuff that I'm applying and using every single day. It's the same program that my Orange County clients get, and they pay me a 3% commission for it. On an average home here in Orange County, that's about $45,000 that they pay. These are strategies and tactics and frameworks that none of your competitors know or will be using, and none of their real estate agents either. It's the result of so much money and time I've invested over decades so I can help my clients save money and make big money, and that is my mission. But you're probably skeptical. You have a bit of a wait and see attitude, tick tock, get to it here. And I feel the exact same way. So all I ask is that you keep an open mind for the next 45 or so minutes, okay? And I actually have two agendas for this workshop. So I want to be super transparent about it. Number one, it is to make sure that you get the clearest and best instruction that you've ever seen on how to properly execute a real estate transaction at a pro level, to show you things you've never seen before that nobody else is going to show you, so that you know exactly what it takes to get the right house at the right price or to sell your house for the highest possible amount. And then secondly, my other agenda is to sell you something. At the end, I'm going to have an offer for you, for just some of you. And at that point, you'll have two options: to take what I'm going to show you to figure it out on your own, or if it makes sense for you to pay me for my help, there will be an option for that too. And none of it has to do with being your agent. There is no pitch to be your real estate broker, okay? That's totally off the table right from the beginning. But either way, you're going to be winning, and that is my goal, and I want to make sure that you get it. So put the word okay in the chat if this is an acceptable deal for you. Okay, love it. All right, great. So when thinking about the correct path on the real estate journey, avoiding these landmines, take advantage of opportunities, there's actually a big problem here that most people don't realize exists. Most people thinking about it, and this is probably you, thinking about it, they think their big challenges are, well, I got to find the right realtor, or I got to find the right house, or maybe timing the marketplace, or negotiating well, or sifting through all of the advice to get the very best answers. But what's the truth is that these are actually symptoms of a much bigger problem. The bigger problem from my perspective, the real problem, is almost nobody has ever been taught how to properly control their real estate journey itself, and why that is so important to do. Because if you don't control your journey, someone or something else will. And I'm going to give you two recent examples from my business that really clarify the importance for you to take control of your own real estate journey. So this is about a month and a half ago. Some clients of mine saw a house, and I'm going to read you the details. This is the printout from the MLS listing. This is in Costa Mesa, okay? Exceptionally upgraded 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, boasting beautiful curb appeal, beautifully remodeled kitchen with upgraded newer vanities, fixtures, lighting, tile, flooring, a defined beautiful outdoor entertaining space. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to own this turnkey home. This sounds great, right? I'm going to turn off. Somebody's got their phone off of mute. Okay, this sounds great, doesn't it? But when we got there, it was a total mess. It was literally disgusting adjacent. The furniture was different than in the pictures. The upgrades were at least 15 years old. They were very tired. Furthermore, the house was an active substance abuse recovery home. It was an active business. Now, of course, these kinds of locations, they're super important in the world that we live in, but a heads up from the agent would have been nice. Hey, this is an active business that you're going to be going into that's being used as a recovery home. Heads up. That would have been nice. But this place was such a dump, and the vibe was so bad. Now, all that's a setup. Here's the essential point. Here's the essential point of why you've got to take control of your own real estate journey. The listing agent on this house, is a top 5 agent in Orange County by total sales volume. There are only a few agents in Orange County that actually sell more houses. I actually printed this out. This is their flyer from their website. Here are the highlights. I won't mention the city because it's not about her. Number 1 realtor for 24 straight years in this city. The number 1 resale agent in Orange County for the last 5 years. $2.7 billion in lifetime sales. $275 million in sales last year alone. Impressive. So think about the seller of this house. I am sure they have no idea what a disaster their listing was. They hired one of the top selling agents in the country, but it's probably going to cost them 15 to 20% of the value of the home because of the way they're bringing it to market. They trusted their home sale to a top expert, and that's going to cost them $150,000, $225,000 at least. My clients couldn't wait to get out of the house, and this guy's somewhere, confident, hired an expert, and has no idea of all the money that's just hemorrhaging all over the marketplace. He delegated control of his real estate journey to a pro, and he's getting wrecked. On the other hand, if he just had a small taste of what I'm going to be talking to you about today, it would be a totally different world. He'd be controlling his own real estate journey right from the very start. Totally different outcome. Now, the second story goes to the exact point, but it's on the flip. It's on the buying side. So this past fall, I met this wonderful young couple at an open house. They're super cute. They're totally excited about buying their first house. But after chatting, they told me that the wife's mom had her license and, she used to do a lot of real estate. So then after that, the mom called me and joked herself about her kids almost firing her and hiring me. And then she started asking me questions about the marketplace, the approach to strategies and tactics, how to prepare to write the right kind of offer. She was basically asking me for a coaching session on how to help her clients, her kids, to go about the right way to buy a home and to get the lowest price and how to do all the steps right, okay? And she actually called me multiple times, including once after they didn't get a house that they wanted. So I looked her up on the MLS, years of history, tons of sales, and she was a total sweetheart. But she hadn't sold a house in almost a decade. And this was the agent that was helping them. It totally broke my heart because these guys had no idea what to do themselves, right? They had no idea on how to control their journey and how to buy a house like a pro. They put their hope in somebody they trusted, their mom, but also in somebody that had no idea what they were doing. And given the price range they were looking at, some seller's going to end up with probably 50, 75, 80 grand more than they should have because these two sweet people were not in control of their real estate journey. They had no idea what they actually should be doing, and they were barely operating at an amateur level, even though they had hired a pro. And this was the most important part. They had no idea that it was happening. Completely brutal. Put the word control in the chat if these two stories help you understand how important it is for you to be the one in control of your own journey. And if you need to drink water, drink water. Okay, control. Good. Now, news actually is worse than this. And please pay attention to what I'm saying with this. These stories, they're actually just the tip of the iceberg, and they're frankly not unique at all. This exact sort of thing is happening every day, all day long, in every state, every county, and every city in the country. And the reason why, it's because of the way the real estate industry itself is set up. And it has been this way for decades. The real estate industry is broken. And what I mean by that, it's due to the incentives and the industry focus of the real estate business itself. So quickly, I'm going to peel back the curtain a bit and explain what's really going on behind the scenes. The news flash, the real estate industry, guys, is not your friend. The sole focus of the real estate business and all of the real estate companies, it's to capture your business, which is your signature on the contract, and then to get your commission. And hopefully get that commission as soon as possible. That is it. That is the entirety of the goal. And frankly, it's the goal of about 98% of all of the real estate agents out there as well. All of the multi-billion-dollar mergers that have happened in the last couple of years, including my brokerage, the numerous multi-billion-dollar lawsuits, and then billions of dollars in advertising that's spent every year. None of this is about who has the best framework, the best strategies, the best tactics, and the best system for their clients. It's about who gets the signature and who gets the dollars. And that goes all the way down. So the biggest real estate coaching event in the country, it's called the Success Summit. It's a guy by the name of Tom Ferry. And I want to show you this quickly. This right here is the marketing piece that I just got from him, right? It's improving your productivity, repeatable systems to generate income, fall in love with your business, close more deals, new campaigns for listing, win more market share. Do you see anything in there about helping buyers get the lowest possible price or to learn how to get top dollar for a listing? No. It's all about the better ways to get your signature on a contract and increase the commission rate. That's the entirety of it, okay? And of course, the real estate industry produces these results. That's the broken system. And on top of that, I don't know if you know these numbers, 70% of licensed real estate agents sell less than one house every other month. 70% of real estate agents are part-timers, and roughly 40% sell one house a year. That's it. This is why there's a disconnect. And this is why there's such an ick feeling about real estate agents. It's why real estate agents rank so high on all of those surveys about the least respected professions in the country. Nobody trusts them, and sometimes rightly so, right? Realtors, lawyers, used car salesmen, they are all kind of the same animal. Actually, a real estate agent that I follow on Instagram, he just posted about a week and a half ago for input from his 15,000 followers about how he should introduce himself to describe what he does, because he doesn't want to just say, I'm a realtor. My point about all of this is that you need to control your own real estate journey before you hire a realtor, before you ever think about buying or selling a house. Now, historically, most people think that there's two ways to go about buying or selling a house, and this is the way everybody, including all 9 of you in here with me, think about it, and it's the way everybody's always thought about it. Number one, you hire a realtor and you hope they know what they're doing and you trust them to guide you in the process. This is most people, right? Number one, the long time plan is you hire a realtor and hope. That's most everybody, right? And then the other option is to just go it alone and hope that you'll properly execute for yourself because you don't need a realtor, right? Fewer people take this route. Go it alone. It's a much smaller percentage. Go it alone and also hope. But the problem is that it doesn't solve the real problem, right? Neither one of these things teaches you and helps you control your own journey because this system has been broken. It's been broken, and none of them allow you the key word of control. Okay? This is what you've got to confront. And this is why I have created something totally new and totally different. Private guidance. And the thing about this is this works whether you're doing it on your own, or you have hired a realtor, or you're going to be hiring a realtor, or at whatever it is you do with the realtor. And the mission for this is not to be anybody's realtor. It has nothing to do with it, but to actually help and guide people. Independent guidance and help that is focused on you, not focused on getting a contract signed or a commission earned. So let me quickly tell you about how I discovered this third way. Years ago, one of my best friends up in LA hired me to help him sell his house, which we did for a record amount. But then they moved out of state and began to hunt for a new house, right? But he calls me pretty upset and frustrated because he didn't really know how to go about buying a house at any level of expertise. It had been over a decade since he bought a house, right? Other than just go out and find the houses that he liked. And he was getting disappointed with all the various different agents that he had met, the realtors. He kind of felt that they were all at an amateur level. They were basically Uber drivers with a lockbox key, very interested in a contract and a commission right now. They all had that in common. So he called me, kind of pissed off. And he said, dude, back home, you just showed me all of these strategies and tactics that we needed and we did to get top dollar for the house. We freaking killed it. But no agent here on the buyer side, they haven't hinted at anything like this about helping me save money or the right things to do or what the plan should look like or my timeline or how they're going to guide me. Nothing. Not a word about it. So he asked me if I could help him to show him exactly the strategies and tactics to use so that he could get the very best possible price. So that's what we did. So I helped him understand the various things necessary to control his journey. We set out the plan, we figured out the strategies, we mapped it into his timeline, and then throughout the process of looking for homes and then buying one, I was basically walking through the entire journey with him. I was like the Sherpa guide on the way up the mountain. It was his private guide and mentor, so that I was helping him maintain control, make good decisions, and then execute all along the way. What happened is what we intended, and frankly, it was so much fun to do. He ended up saving about $700,000 on an $800,000 house because he was playing a different game. It was this kind of new third way. And it wouldn't have mattered what realtor he hired. And he actually did have conflict with his agent in the process. This happens some of the time. The agent kind of pushed back against some of the things that he wanted to do. So I basically helped him grab the realtor by the collar, kind of forced him to operate at a higher level, and it worked. Just like it's worked every other time since then. And this is how this all started. And it's the third way to help people control their own journey, fight this system, instead of just hoping they're being guided, to know what to do and then be guided independent of all of that, okay? To be with them, with these landmines that are popping up and the opportunities so they know what to do, okay? Put just the word number 3, not the word, the number 3 in the chat if this makes sense to you, that you should take the control and know how to do this journey yourself. 3, okay. Good. So how do you do it? How do you do this journey? How do you control it? Well, what you need to do, obviously, is you need to know what to do. You need to know when to do it. And then you need to know how to do it, okay? The framework that I use for this has 2 different parts of the initial planning system, okay? The first part of it is having the system, the process, and this is basically the map for it, okay? Most of the time what I see is folks and their agents just kind of working by feel, or let's just see what happens, or making things up as it goes along, or reacting to things that happen. The right house comes up and I guess we're ready to list it. What do we do? What do you think the price should, whatever that is, okay? This is not the way. You do not succeed at a pro level by guessing. You don't do it by reacting. You do it by having a system, okay? Here's an example of this that'll help clarify this. A few years ago, I had surgery on my left shoulder. So when I showed up at the doctor's office, they had a system. The doctor explained every step along the way. What's going to be happening, why it was going to be happening, when it was going to be happening, who was going to be doing what, when they were going to do it. It's obvious. It's just a process that this guy just repeats over and over, right? And of course, there are going to be variations, things that come up. Some people have bone spurs, others have more rotator cuff damage. I had both. But all these possibilities, the things that could happen, they were thought through, right? And they had specific solutions for each of those possibilities, and they prepared for them. Him having this system and explaining it to me step by step, it was so reassuring. I knew that I was in the best of hands. This guy was completely prepared. Same thing with houses. Same thing with the real estate journey. Whether it's an entry-level condo, a basic family home, some luxury high-end property, if you've got the right process in the system and the map, you're going to get to the correct destination the correct way every single time, okay? And I illustrate it like this. This is my map and program, okay? Every single consult that I have when I'm interviewing with a potential client to help them save money or make money or buying or selling or whatever it is, this is the visual for every single thing that we're going to do, okay? And there's 2 parts to this, right? The first part is all the various activities that are required. That's this piece here. What needs to get done, all of the various different steps along the way. This is the landmines that we're going to avoid and plan for and be ready for the opportunities to control this entire journey. Starting up here, ending down here. As a buyer, it's get your keys. As a seller, it's hand over your keys, right? Controlling the journey to buy or sell like a pro. That's the what, okay? So that's the first part of it. That is, the what. Mapping out what to do and the sequence of them, that's the first part of having an effective system or a process. And then the second part of it has to do with your own personal timing. And that's this piece down here, is you take all of these steps and you have to map it onto your timeline, right? So the important milestones of when certain things have to get done based upon your own timing goals. So it's not only the what, it's also the when. Right? Having the framework for this journey, the map, and the sequence of events to fit with you is essential. When you do this, this is how you're avoiding the landmines and the costly mistakes, which is back to this part here. That's the what and the when. Okay? Does this make sense? Are you tracking with the importance of having this as having a system or a process? Put the word system in the chat if it does. If that framework I'm explaining makes sense to you. Or you could put map. Put system or map. Map. Good, DJ. All right, great. Also, do me a favor, put the word yes in the chat if you've already learned some things that you didn't know, or I've had you think about things from a different perspective. Just put the word yes. All right, good. Okay, so let's continue. Now, the next question is, what about the how, right? What goes into this framework? What are the specific mechanics? And to be effective at a pro level, they have to be strategies and tactics that are unique, effective, and essential to the process. Things that nobody else in your marketplace is doing, that no other agent knows, okay? That's the key. It can't just be average. It can't just be stuff that you pulled off of ChatGPT or Claude, which is least common denominator, because then your results will be that. And we don't want that. The doctor gave me his detailed explanation of his specific mechanics, right? I didn't want average. I wanted $1 million man shoulder. So he explained to me that he had this new arthroscopic method, how it worked, why it was different than any other ortho that I was going to go see, right? This is where the rubber meets the road. And this is the difference between how most people are going about their real estate journeys at the average level. These are the competitors or the sellers that you're going to be confronting. This is the difference between all of them and those that control it correctly to get the right outcome, okay? And here's what you need. You need a recipe that has essential and exceptional ingredients into it. This is the how. So you need a recipe with exceptional ingredients. All right? Because you wanted an exceptional result. That's the bottom line. Now, for a recipe, just like any recipe, every ingredient has to be used. They all need to be used in the exact quantities and in the exact sequence, right? If you're baking and you just decide, you know what, I don't want to put any sugar in this. Or if you triple the amount of flour, your cookies are going to be terrible. But cookies, not that big a deal. Bad batch, throw it out, no big deal. But an incorrect recipe or no recipe at all can make an enormous difference when buying or selling a home. Dozens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So the recipe ingredients, this is the how, the specific things that you have to do. And now we've covered it. We've covered the what, what, when, and how. So the first concept that I want to introduce that's critical to the idea of the recipe is positioning. Almost all of the ingredients in my recipes, I'm going to show them to you in just a second. Almost all of the ingredients are downstream from this concept of positioning. If you're a home seller, your house is the product, positioning it is essential. If you're a buyer, you're the product. Positioning yourself is essential as well. And this is what I mean and why it's critical. Thought experiment. Imagine I went out and spent a bunch of money and bought my wife an extremely expensive piece of jewelry. And then I just wadded it up in a plastic grocery bag and tossed it to her when I walked in the house. And I said, hey, this is for you. Love you. Another scenario. Imagine I bought a much less expensive gift. But in this case, I waited until the kids went to bed. I lit a few candles around our little outside sitting area, cracked open a bottle of wine, and then I presented it to her in this beautifully wrapped box with a card, long note in it, telling her all the things that I loved about her and how I'd marry her again in a second. Which one of those would she prefer? Which one of those would have the better effect? Obviously the second one, right? Not because of the gift, not because of the product, but because of the positioning, right? And all of the various parts of the positioning there, those were all the ingredients in the recipe to position it just right. And the critical piece, all of that work was done in advance. Planning, setting everything up, all of that was thought through first, way before even buying the piece of jewelry. So one of the most important things that you can do as a buyer is control how the seller and their listing agent perceive you, and how they perceive your agent, and how they perceive your offer, okay? That's 3-part positioning that you have to do. And same on the selling side, right? How you position your home, that determines on how buyers are going to perceive it and their expectations of what it's going to cost to buy. Think about a pair of shoes, right? You can buy the exact same pair of shoes at Nordstrom Rack, or if you're patient, at a garage sale. Same exact pair of shoes, different positioning. And all of it has to be planned, strategic, and executed just right, just like when you're cooking from a recipe, okay? So there are 6 ingredients to the buyer journey recipe. There are 8 ingredients to the seller journey recipe. The specific steps, when we're going to be turning left, turning right, when we're going straight, the exact path on the journey. So let me split this back. So it's the recipe ingredients that is the shortcut and how to actually turn left and right and when not to on this journey. Okay? The recipe with the right ingredients is the path all the way to your goal. The lowest possible price when you're buying, or the highest possible price for when you're selling. So let me show you these recipe ingredients. I want to talk about them for a minute. How are we doing on time? Okay, great. So on the buyer recipe, the 6, buyer staging, practicing the contract, a surprising deposit, contingency management, offer presentation, and crystallization. Those are the 6 on the buyer side. On the and crystallization, I should put this in here. This has to do with the house. Okay. On the seller side, stake and sizzle. This also has to do with the house. Staging and preparation. This has to do with the house. Seller setting the price. This has to do with the money. Expanded marketing, offer presentation, buyer agent incentives, appraisal confrontation, and no dual agency. Those are the 8 on the seller side. So the overview and the thinking behind both of these recipes and all the ingredients, what they're all designed to address is the basic challenge that you as a buyer and you as a seller have. And your basic challenge is this. you need to confront all of the various unknowns that are important on the other side of the table, whether it's a buyer, a seller, or their agents. There's a bunch of things that you don't know. Their timing goals, their previous experience, their real motivation, what their outside influences are. There's a million other things that you are never going to know other than what you see on their offer coming in or what you see on their asking price on Zillow, okay? So what we're doing with all of these recipe ingredients is trying to go at them from different angles that are unique and they're different and they're beyond expectation to be pro levels above what any of the competition is doing or what their expectations are. Because when the recipe ingredients start to stack on top of one another, that's how you get multiple angles of attack on all of these unknowns. It's the doctor making plans for the various different things that he might discover once he's inside my shoulder in his surgery. And on a buy side or selling side for the real estate journey, stacking up, they're all increasing pressure. Increasing pressure and further separating you from what is normally expected, okay? And the key to it is that none of it is random. None of it is reactionary, that it's intentional and planned and thought through in advance and then guided all along the way because they work. And once you do that, if you're buying a house, this is how you get the seller who's certain about their price. This is how you get their certainty to soften. Or if you're selling a house, a buyer's got an idea of what they're going to pay. This is how you get that buyer's certainty to be flexible. And that's where that 10% money change starts to come towards you, right? Now, of course, every state has slightly different contracts and slightly different rules, but the general architecture and the overall intent are basically the same. So all of these ingredients translate to every single state. And that's how folks in different states can all run this same program and have such incredible results. So I want to highlight a couple of examples here that are these essential ingredients so that you can get a little bit more detail, right? I certainly don't have time to go into all of them today. But I want to talk about one that has to do with the buyer and the seller together. And this has to do with offers, okay? One of the recipe ingredients that's common to both is to radically change the offer and negotiation environment. I don't know how aware of this you are, but the vast majority of offer presentation nowadays are done via email. They're basically emailed back and forth by robots, okay? And here's what I think. I think that you as a buyer should do everything you can to actually present your offer to a seller in person. And as a seller, you should do everything you can to require the buyers and their agents to show up to your house and present their offer in person. Let me say this here. So that's this one here. That is the offer presentation piece in person. My guess is that very, very few of you have ever even heard of this before, let alone that it is actually a powerful ingredient to get a pro-level result. It is a far superior negotiating environment with better chances for the money part, right? Also, there is potential magic that happens in person that is totally impossible if you're just trading a PDF back and forth on an email exchange, right? Residential real estate, most of the time, most residential real estate transactions are personal and emotional, and doing an offer in person pushes that button. So last week, I had an in-person multiple offer meeting set at a listing of mine in Anaheim. If you're familiar with Anaheim, where this guy's house is, it's closer to Knott's Berry Farm in Winter Park than it is to Disneyland, but it's not too far. So I had this last Wednesday at 3:30 was my in-person offer. The night before, I was talking to both of the buyer's agents, okay? Neither of them had ever heard of this before, doing the offer in person. Despite, it's the way it used to be done way back in the day, before emails and before fax machines, okay? After less than 5 minutes of conversation with both of these agents, they loved it. Let me tell you why. First agent explained to me that she and her clients that wanted to buy my listing, 2 weeks earlier, they tried to buy a house. And it took about a week of back and forth with all of the counter offers. And the whole time, the process just felt off to them, like something was going on. It just felt janky, okay? By the time her buyers got that final counter offer from the sellers a week later, they were so frustrated with the whole process, they just moved on and just bailed altogether. The second agent explained that the week prior, her buyers had submitted an offer on a house, emailed it over. The listing agent never responded. They literally never heard back from the agent. It was a full price offer, and they got notified when their phone buzzed on Zillow that they sold the house. Full price offer, never heard a word back. In both of these cases, the way those listing agents were handling those situations drove those buyers away. So they could have been the right buyers for those houses. No way to know. But even if those buyers did get the house, called them up later or whatever, how would those buyers, what would their attitude be like? What would their disposition be opening escrow after that tedious experience? So offers in person isn't just about getting the contract signed. It's setting the entire stage for the rest of the transaction, right? This is a totally different world. Nobody does this anymore. There's even more benefits I just love this. I can talk about it all day. On the buyer side, presenting your offer in person, it makes everything quick and easy and honest. You're there with your piece of paper, your pen in your hand. If they're playing a game with you or they're shopping your offer around, something dirty, it immediately gets exposed and you're out of there, on to the next house. On the other side, if you're a seller, doing it in person eliminates wasting time, right? It is so easy for me to email you an offer on your house that's half-assed. But if I got to get off my couch and get out of my pajamas and drive over to see you, look at you in the eye and present my offer to you, I'm only going to do that if I'm serious about your house. And you as a seller only want serious buyers. It's a perfect filter. And I cannot count the number of times I could tell you where another agent had told me that the in-person offer meeting that we had just done was the best experience of their entire career. And that's on the buy side or sell side, including when a deal doesn't go together. Last Wednesday, one of those two buyers didn't get the house. It took us about 45 minutes from start to finish. One of the buyers got the house, the other didn't. The wife was crying. It was a whole big thing, right? Part of the deal. Afterwards, the buyer's agent called me. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I've never had a multiple offer experience like this. 45 minutes later, didn't get the house. We didn't want to pay as much for it. We were moving on. It was amazing. Now, really good time. One final quick story that mixes two of these topics from today. The real estate industry and the incentives, and another ingredient here in this recipe that I want to talk to you about on the buy side, okay? And this one here is specifically, I call it practicing the contract. This is another buyer recipe that I use. And this little story, very quick, it's going to show you how an unseen landmine could be potentially catastrophic to you, and how just one recipe ingredient can avoid it altogether. Okay? And it's a recipe that nobody uses. I guarantee you've never heard of the phrase practice the contract. Okay? And no agent that you would ever talk to is going to use it either. Okay? So here's the story. It was a while ago. Buyer consult with folks. I was sitting at Panera Bread and I was showing them my system, interviewing for the job to be their realtor. Okay? They were very resistant, skeptical about realtors in general. Of course, I don't blame them. I don't like realtors either, generally. Anyway, then they told me they'd been trying to buy houses. They'd been in the process for about a year. And what they'd been doing is they were going directly to the listing agents themselves, trying to get the listing agent to represent them, dual agency, thinking that would give them kind of an insider track on the house, help them save a little bit of money. That's what they were doing. Now, this actually can be a smart move if you know how to properly control the process, you have a system, you have a recipe, that you know how to buy like a pro. It can be a smart move. But if you don't, anyway, so they had been in escrow on a house, right? Put a deal together in escrow on a house, but it fell apart over a disagreement on some plumbing issues for the house. So at that point, we're in the portion of the conversation where I'm listing out the 6 buyer recipe ingredients, and we get to the one about the purchase contract, okay? So what I did is I asked them to pull out their offer paperwork on their phone, right? Because I know they did it by email, and I knew that they had a PDF buried somewhere. Now, this is something that I do all the time when possible, because I know that if I can look at somebody's offer, the paperwork, immediately I'm going to be able to quickly identify some kind of amateur level move and show them exactly a landmine that they stepped on, that they didn't know what was there, and how we're going to do things differently going forward, right? Sure enough, it happened. But in this case, I discovered a catastrophic problem in the section on cost allocations, right? This is the California contract. I'm not going to go through it. So page 3 of this 17-page monster, it's right here. It says, you probably can't see it, allocation of costs. All of these line items here basically goes over who pays what, okay? So the listing agent on the house, who is now also their agent, had filled this entire thing out so that these guys were going to be responsible for all of the seller's transaction costs, all of them. And I pointed this out to them, and they were immediately defensive. No. This guy was awesome. We trusted him. He works, you don't understand. He worked so hard to make sure that it was a fair deal and it was good for everybody involved. He's also the neighborhood guy, right? His face is on the grocery basket at every grocery store right in the area. Everybody knows him. We loved him. I'm like, maybe so. But look, had this deal gone through for them, just that one thing alone would have cost them $14,000. They couldn't believe it. They had no idea. One recipe ingredient. Now, the reality, the recipe ingredient itself, it is not rocket science. It just needs to be identified, understood, and followed. That's it. It's actually easy and simple, but nobody does it. None of the ingredients are complicated, frankly. They just take a few minutes of understanding it. It's having an awareness and then knowing the simple things to check the boxes. But they could be so important. That's the unknown piece, right? And in this journey, very important things, tens of thousands of dollars hundreds of thousands of dollars or more, very few home buyers, very few sellers, very few agents ever do them, let alone know them, right? Let alone stack them together to move the needle for that 10% price swing, to have that cumulative effect for the real power. And this is why, in order to have certainty about the results of your real estate journey, you've got to have the plan and know and control it when, where, how, and why all of your steps should be taken, regardless of the realtor you hire. Because the potential for costly mistakes and missed opportunities is just too high. People think it's checkers. It's not. It's chess. And it's the highest stakes chess game of your life, probably. And most consumers, most people like you, have never even heard or considered anything like it before. Okay? So I want to show you a couple of quick things previous folks I've worked with have said about this system that I've just described you. These were people that took advantage of my offer to help them so they could be in control, create their own plan and timeline, and get guidance all the way through. So let me show you. Here, okay, so this was Mark. He was in Houston, Texas. Sold a few homes in my lifetime. Best experience. I love this part. And at times fun. Joseph, buyer. System works like magic. James, maximum payout within our timeline. Michael's approach is most certainly unique. I love that. So those are a few things. None compared to the... Let me show you Joe here.
Hausam and I have done 3 transactions in the last 24 months. Guy helped me sell 2 houses and a purchase in the middle. The reality is I wouldn't have been able to pull off any of the transactions without Mike. I wouldn't have felt as secure in all the transactions. We were able to get on both the buying and the selling side the best deal possible with the best terms because of how Mike was able to walk through the process of buying and selling real estate. Guy's a total pro, could not be happier with his services, and can't wait to buy more houses with him.
All right, so let's quickly review the points that I made here today, right? Number one, there is a lot of potential money on the table. Here, I'm going to put this in. Oh, the note didn't come up. Here we go. Sorry about that. So lots of money on the table for you. $40,000 if you're average, 50, 60 if you're $500,000, up to 6 figures if you're in a marketplace like mine. There we go. Money on the table. That's the first thing that we talked about. Secondly, we discussed why the traditional real estate system is often not aligned or incentivized to help you get the best results, and that there is another option. The system is broken, and there is a third way. And the only way to do it is to control your own real estate journey to buy or sell a house like a pro. The only way to do it is control your own journey. And there's 3 pieces to do that. You need to have a system or a framework. You need to have effective recipe ingredients, and you need to have a guide. So you need a system, you need to have a recipe, and you need to have a guide. And that's it. So now you know the right way, how to continue your real estate journey from here to get the results that you want, so that 40,000 or 75,000 or $100,000, whatever it is yours. And it's not someone or something else controlling your journey. It's you controlling it, or whatever the amount is at your price range, if you did the math on the front end. Okay. So at this point now, there are two options for you, right? The first one is simple. Take what I've shown you here today. Do it on your own. YouTube videos, scrolling listings, get advice from friends, hoping you hire the right agent, hoping they catch everything, hoping they're not like this agent, and figuring it out as you go. That's what most people do. And frankly, sometimes it works. But if you've been paying attention, right, you've seen the real problem. The mistakes in real estate, they would feel obvious when you're making them. Everything just feels fine. Like, we'll figure it out later. Our agent's going to handle it. We'll know the right house when we see it. The market is what it is. The price seems fine. But what seemed and felt normal then is a $14,000 single ingredient mistake, or $70,000 on a house, or a seller leaving 50, 80, 100, 150 grand on the table because the process wasn't actually handled right and you didn't even know what to look for. So that's the second option. The second option is this, is we go through it together, right? Because for some people, the bigger issue isn't just information. You may already be thinking about, I don't need lessons. I don't need a book. I need a plan. I need a timeline, and I need to execute it. And I need help thinking through the timing, the decisions, what to do before any pressure starts to hit. And then I need a guide throughout the rest of the journey, but not one that's based on making a sale or making a commission. A guide that's focused on me and what I need and want. So if that's you, when this workshop is over, message me, okay? Because this is what I'm doing. Let me flip through here. I am opening a small founders round for a new program, and it is specifically for people buying their next home between $500,000 and $2 million. That's the niche that I'm trying to help, right? It's for people that are buying their next home between 500K and $2 million, right? It's for people that don't want to pick the house or their timeline or their realtor reactively. And here's the way it's going to work. In the first 30 days of this program, we will literally build out a clear next home plan in a custom timeline, okay? So in 30 days, we're going to build out the custom plan and timeline. Okay? That's the first piece. And then over the next 5 months, it's a 6-month program. Over the next 5 months, then I will guide you through the decisions so that you're not making one of the biggest financial moves of your life just based on emotion or pressure or incomplete information. So then it's 5 months of active guidance, right? Not realtor representation. Most of you are going to end up hiring an agent at some point. I can help you with that. But all of this sits before that so that you know what you're doing before the marketplace or the real estate agent starts pulling you around, right? My job will be to make sure that you're not outsourcing strategy to the person who gets paid when the deal closes, who also may or may not be operating at a pro level. So for this founders program, I am only taking 10 people for this first round, and the first 5 are actually going to get a private next home decision audit live with me. Okay. So this is the other piece, is that it is limited to 10, and then the private audit is limited to the first 5. And that launches July 1st. So if you are interested in this, after the workshop, you're going to get all these notes and a replay. Just message me the word plan. And then what we'll do is book a very short phone call to actually see if you and I would be a good fit. If what you're planning on doing is a good fit with what I'm planning on offering, okay? And this founder round, this initial round, gets direct access to me while I build out the new version of it live. So you get the plan literally right now, instead of waiting for the polished version later, okay? And in return for that, there's going to be a substantial cost savings for you, okay? In 30 days, you will have a clear next home plan and a custom timeline, so then you can make confident decisions before choosing your house, choosing the timeline, and your realtor. And then guiding you through the next 5 months of your journey, okay? So at the Next Home Advantage Founders level is what that's called.
I've lived in 10 different states, and so I've conducted a lot of real estate transactions, and I have to tell you the finest real estate professional that I've ever run across is Michael Hausam. He's helped me with 5 different transactions. The one that really comes to mind is a service that I'm not sure you're going to find from anyone. I was needing to sell an investment condo that I had in Boston while living in California. He not only helped me find a local broker there, but he also helped me with the kind of working with him remotely to get a quick sale at a good price. Just unbelievable service, and can't recommend him enough. I've referred him to at least 3 other people, and he's done a great job for them. And I think of him as the real estate whisperer.
So as a first-time home buyer, I felt pretty overwhelmed and didn't exactly know where to start. Michael is a great advisor in helping me navigate the path from choosing the right agent to dealing with a mortgage broker, all the way through closing on a home. He really helped me understand the process and how it should work, and the things that I need to be doing and look out for, and also the things that I should avoid. And having him as my advisor, essentially my consultant, and not just a realtor, was incredibly helpful. And I recommend that anyone doing a real estate transaction would greatly benefit from having him on your team.
A few years ago, my wife and I made the move from Los Angeles to Arizona, and we needed to sell our house in a fairly quick manner. Michael helped us through that process in just a tremendously wonderful way. He walked us through the way the market was. He helped us balance the offers we were being given. He helped us set up our home for sale to get the most we could from it. And most importantly, he never pressured us to actually take any deals, and would always help us consider the pros and cons of every offer we were given. On the flip side of that, as we moved to Phoenix, he helped us remotely, first by finding us a wonderful realtor here in Phoenix, but also during that process advising us as we were buying our home. I can't recommend anyone more highly than I do Michael. He really was tremendous on both sides of our real estate transactions, on selling our home, as well as helping us buy a home in Phoenix, where he really wasn't getting anything out of it other than the joy of helping a former or current or forever client. I highly recommend him. Thank you.